Another edition of our R&B podcast. We got Mr. Stone Cold Steve Austin. Did you ever watch WWE? Stone Cold Steve Austin.
Not. I watched it in the days of Big Daddy and Giant Haystacks, but that was in the 80s, mate. Was it? And then the Americans kind of took it over and all got a bit ridiculous, didn't it? So I didn't bother for it. Stuck with boxing.
Okay.
Boxing instead. It was a bit more real, you know.
Yeah. Well, as you guys come in, we just let us know so we can give you a shout out. We've got a special album this evening. I think, most albums are special. I think we've had some misses, the New Edition one and the and King of Stage, but this I must say was a special album. How hard was it for you to go through and try and put them in order?
Incredibly hard, because if I look at it, for me, it's got the who's who of New Jack R&B producers. The only producer that's missing on it is a Teddy Riley and Gene Griffin. And if they'd have done a track, it'd have completely set.
You've got to scratch out Gene Griffin. Gene Griffin was,
well,
he's
how many albums back then had all three producers on one album? I can't name any. Jimmy Jam, Ellie and Babyface, Teddy Riley, were they all on an artist's album, on a group? I don't think they were, So you got
you got
Jam and Lewis on this. We've got LA LaFace, KO, Daryl Simmons. We've got Kyle West. We've got Timmy Gatlin. We've got John Barnes. Who else have missed? There's just so many. Vassell Benford's on here. Wolf and Epic are on here. This was. I mean, my number 10 in this chart is a killer. I'm like, number 10. I mean, the track that's number 11 that I've left out me top 10 is a killer. It's killing me to do that, It's like, this is just so different, mate.
It was definitely when Tim Beach, welcome, and Mac just decided to exile last week because he wasn't feeling the Bobby album, the Forever album, but he came back this time around. Dio, welcome. Timmy Lee. There was some good. Daryl Simmons was on this. It was surprising that Babyface just wrote a track and he didn't really be any doing it to production. But definitely, it was hard for me because what I decided to do was I decided to listen to the album like 4 or 5 times. And I didn't want to read the credits because I didn't want the producers to bias my opinions on the tracks because because it's quite easy for me to listen to a track, see the producer, and then say, "Oh, yeah, I like this," just because I've seen a name. Hey, Emily, how you doing? So yes. So this evening, I just decided, over the last couple of days, listened to it 3 or 4 times, and then decided to rank it. And I've only just seen the credits right now. Hey, Michael, we haven't seen you in a bit. Welcome. This was the second single Stone Cold Gentleman drop-offs. Yeah. Okay.
I found something, Namdi, in the States that has given me. I found an album, a record, and I just had a feeling about it. I thought there's more to this group, these girls, than maybe they've done something else. And I got back and I did my research on them, and unbelievably, it leads me back to New Edition. But you probably wouldn't have heard of them. They're called Picture Perfect. They did one album in 1987. And I remember finding it in the record store, and I'd kind of seen it online, and it's only $2. And I thought, I need to get. There's something about this, and like it said, lead vocals. Tamara Smith is on lead vocals, so I'm assuming it's her there in the middle. So I did a bit of Discog searching, and it turns out she was the girl in New Edition's Candy Girl video. Would you believe it?
Wow.
Yes, I see what I mean. I had this hunch, mate. I always do when I go back. I just get these hunch about things that I just don't have. But
Wow.
Yeah, what what a discovery this, and there's some great tracks on this. I mean, they only recorded one album. It's on LP and cassette tape only. But I think there's a few tracks on YouTube you can listen to. Very obscure now, but yeah, what a find that was. What a find.
Yeah, both Emily and Chimby said they remember them. Yes. Joseph Perry, welcome as well. Yes, okay. So Miss J is waiting for her to join us. But as we start, it is a very interesting album. And in fact, I just realized that I needed to look at the album itself. So this I'm not going to the singles. I want to go to the album. It was interesting because this album came out in November of 1990. So at this time, he came out last. So we had, of course, but Bobby was already doing his thing. We had Ralph DeVoe blowing up. Then we had Johnny Gill, and then Ralph came last. And I do wonder. It'd be interesting you guys as well to join in. I thought that if Ralph had started, it would have taken a lot of pressure off him. And I do remember when I first saw when they're on MTV and they all came out and did their stuff, and when Ralph did Sensitivity, I felt underwhelmed because it's one of those tracks that you listen to, it burns and like, okay, I kind of like it, but when he just came out with Sensitivity, I thought, oh goodness, look at what
you was underwhelmed
when I first heard it compared to
I'm
Poison.
No. At least you're honest. At least you're honest, mate.
Yeah. When I'm talking about compared to how Ralph DeVoe started off with Poison, then Rub You the Right Way, and then My. So I was like, wow, look how they're coming out. Then Ralph said, Sensitivity. So it just didn't compare to how the others came out. It just felt like, oh. Now the song, grew and grew. It grows on you, but it didn't blow out. And I felt like he was playing catch up. And actually, the album sales would indicate that actually he was playing catch up compared to the others.
Depends on the area.
He didn't sell.
I think it's all that doubt the area you came from and what you was hearing on the radio. Because when I heard Sensitivity and it was being played in Manchester in all the pirate radio, it was massive, mate. It was playing in all the club nights on the pirate radio stations. I mean, Rub You the Right Way bombed in where I'm from because they just weren't into New Jack Swing. They weren't into hype New Jack Swing beats. Poison did well. Rub You the Right Way kind of bombed. But this track, this just blew up, mate.
Yeah, no, but I'm saying that, and as I said, a lot of it is based on based on how I was, both when I was in Nigeria and both in the US, and just seeing how, the fact that Johnny came out with his album, went double platinum, and his album dropped in April, so he had some good runs and some big charts, as I said, My, and what else did he come out with? So when he was releasing those stuff, then by the time Ralph came out, I was like, oh, Ralph, okay. And actually, I mean, I love Sensitivity, and it's still an amazing track now. But as I said, him coming last and being the guy that they always thought would always be the main guy, I think that hurt him. If he was the first to release an album, I think it would have made a massive difference in the sales and the expectation.
Which track do you think should have been the lead single then?
I thought something more upbeat. So I thought they could have taken advantage of his relationship with Bobby and do Stone Cold Gentleman with an extended rap for Bobby. Mm-hmm. I think there's a few lines wasn't great. I thought they could have done. They could have just done Ralph Tresvant featuring Bobby Brown and done an extended rap. So, and they're both dancing. So it would have been like, because Bobby hadn't done anything since, in 2 years. So he wouldn't have minded. I think that would have been a definitely big track, even though it's not the best track on the album. But I thought that would be a big, like, oh, okay, wow, Ralph's coming out with and Bobby, and he's matching Bobby with the moves and everything. I thought that could have been the first one. and then I would have gone to maybe Sensitivity,
I mean,
and then some of the other tracks.
I remember being so surprised in the summer of that year when Bobby Brown. I mean, we've talked about it appearing on a Glenn Medeiros track. How Glenn Medeiros' management got Bobby Brown to feature on his track, I'll never know, because Glenn Medeiros was kind of in the wilderness, weren't he, from about 87 after his massive hit. So, but yeah, interesting.
Yeah, the first time. Yeah, so he's talking about So when he performed, the first time I heard it was when he performed on the MTV. But think about it. Okay, BBD dropped in March of 1990. Johnny Gill dropped in April of 1990, and then we had to wait until November for Ralph's album. So all the hits that were coming out, they were dominating, and then by the time Ralph comes out, it was the year of BBD and Johnny. And then, I just think that Ralph it was slow. And he didn't get the best run. He only released 3 singles compared to what BBD did. So that was just my thought. I always thought that they could have come out with a much more up-tempo song and stuff.
I think there was, how many singles were from this? 1, 2, 3, 4. There was definitely 4 singles.
Yeah, just
Rated R was a single. Do What I Gotta Do, Stone Cold Gentleman, and Sensitivity.
Oh yeah. Then Sensitivity, yeah. But I think Michael Ray saying "Yo Baby Yo" from the House Party 2 soundtrack was probably, if that was on this album, it would probably be.
Well, he did.
I probably would have put in my top.
There was an interview that he recorded shortly before the release of the album, and he did state that he'd worked with Raphael Sadiq and Tony. So all them tracks, I think he recorded at least 20 tracks, and like you say, abundance of these made the album, and a few made the soundtracks. But they seem to be all recorded at the same time. Some of them were left off, obviously.
Yeah. Anyway, I mean, as I said, it's a beautiful album. I just felt for Ralph. I just think that he was prepared first, but everyone had a jump on him.
So what were the sales on this album? Did it go platinum?
It just went platinum, which isn't a bad
Still
thing.
Good.
However,
Still very good.
Yeah, but as I said, yes, it could be considered good, but when you think about the fact that Bell DeVoe did 4 million, Johnny Gill did 2 million, Ralph just managed to do 1 million.
Well, you think
so
of it.
That's where
when Bobby Brown left New Edition, there were talks, weren't they, of a Ralph Tresvant solo album just before? Was it just before the Any Heartbreak? So they were looking at a Ralph album in about 1987. How would that have sounded in 87, do you think? With New Jack just coming around the corner, that might have bombed. That might have bombed as well. The production of it might have just too 80s dated.
Yeah, but think about just think about what Keith Sweat did in 87. So there was still that opportunity. And then probably he wouldn't have done the Any Heartbreak album, and he would have just done that for himself. Now, so don't get me wrong, platinum is good. I mean, especially in the 1990, platinum was like, okay, because back in the 80s, going gold was considered massive. So
that's a million in it. So he's done 1 million copies there.
He's done 1 million copies, but he did 1 million. But what I'm saying is, compared to Bell Biv DeVoe that did 4 million and Johnny that did 2 million, I think just the sales of the album could have been much better. And I'll say that again, they were all, apart from Johnny Gill, they were all signed to MCA. MCA had Uptown, they had Jody Watley, they had Bobby Brown, they had Bell Biv DeVoe, they had Ralph, they had Jackie McGee, they had
what else was released around that? The Guy's second album was released.
Guy's second album was released. It was released around that time.
How can they promote all these? How could they promoted all these? It's a lot to promote,
It's a lot to promote. So hence, that's why I just think that Ralph didn't get the push that he needed and stuff. But yes, Ralph did sacrifice a lot for the solo, for everyone else. and then when it came to his time, he got the short end of the stick. And think about it, his highest charting song ever was Sensitivity, number 4 on the Billboard 100, and the only song to go to number one.
Song.
The only song to go number 1 in the R&B charts. So definitely was a good song. Yeah, Mike was saying that BBD capitalized on hip hop.
Are we going to guess each other's number ones there? You know what I mean? Are we going to do that? I've not written it down, but I've got it in my head.
Yes, I've got it down. So guys, we are going to 1990 was definitely a stack time. Yeah, so Tim B says Tony was 1990 in Vogue. Wow. Keith and Mariah Carey. So it was just so much.
What a year to be alive.
Yeah, I think I can't remember. Peaceful Journey. When did that come out? I can't remember. Anyway, so guys, if this is your first time joining us, we are welcome. We've got our regular community who are here, and we always appreciate you guys. As we start, go ahead.
Can I just do a shameless plug for my new video on YouTube, Nandi?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yes, I recorded a video yesterday. It's on my YouTube channel at Stevie Street _. It's called New Jack Swing in Search of. It's a good half-hour episode 1 of going out into record stores where I live, trying to find some New Jack Swing. I found this on cassette, Rex and Effects cassette tape for £2. I was just so made up. I found an ex-girlfriend cassette tape for £2. In fact, I asked the guy behind the counter, I said, have you got any more cassette tapes? He goes, and he's rumbling through, and he goes, I don't know, is this ex-girlfriend? I went, you're kidding me. And he pulls this out. I mean, what a guy for pulling this. So watch that video, In Search of New Jack Swing. There's going to be more to come, but I think you collectors out there will really enjoy what the filming, the content, and actually what I found. There's my shameless plug over.
Okay. So before we start, Stevie, DJ All Day just said I've just described. Okay. And Chimbeats has been watching.
Give it a like, please. Give the video a like and share and subscribe. And this one as well. Come on. We're on a live blog here. Give us a like. Get us up the algorithms. I keep forgetting to say that, actually.
Hey, Marco. That like hey, Derek. So here is the D-Minor radio DJ out in San Francisco. So he was saying that the album was received well, but could that album have been a New Edition album?
Well, I have said on earlier podcasts that I think if New Edition had dropped an album after Heartbreak in 1990 or 91, it probably would have been the greatest New Jack Swing album ever, probably after Guy, because that's all it would have been a load of New Jack Swing bangers and some Jam and Lewis ballads on it, and we'd have been in heaven. But we are with any Heartbreak anyway, so
yeah. And I do wonder,
we got the solo guys. We can't complain. That solo run from them guys is undefeated. It's undefeated. They're all great albums.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe we could do like a top 15, get all the albums up and pick 3 tracks from each album and do a top 15.
Yeah.
Because they're all great albums.
If any of you guys are on Instagram, you might have seen Jermaine Dupri. He was on Fat Joe and Jadakiss podcast, and they were reacting to Damian Hall, who was talking about New Edition, Guy being the greatest, and they asked compared to New Edition. Now, Damian Hall's coming live on Halftime Chat. So just as we're live here, Damien's going to come on live, and you guys can ask him questions.
When's he coming on live, Andy?
We're going to sort out tomorrow. I'll get the date sorted out, so it could be Wednesday or Thursday. But he'll be live just like this. So for anyone, could I said should we pre-record or go live? He says no, let's go live for that, and this will be his third interview on Halftime Chat. But anyway, when I first interviewed Damon 4 years ago, he said that he believes Guy was the best group, but the only two groups that he has above Guy were New Edition and Tony. So so Damien has always rated New Edition, and he's always rated Bobby as one of the greatest entertainers. So I think it was unfair the way they portrayed it, as if he had betrayed it. But I didn't want to repost anything because I wanted Damien to be able to come and respond when he comes on. So that said, we are going to go into our top 10. So for those who are just joining us, what we normally do, so this album has 13 tracks, and we're going to start from number 10, 2, and then we will indicate what our 13, 12, and 11 are, because we want to keep everyone guessing what number 1 could be. So at least if we keep those 3 out, but we'll count them all at the end. So it'll be great when you put it. So start from your number 10. And then when we get to number 2, as I said, you let us know what number 13, 12, and 11 is. So for me, Stevie, let me go to my number 10. On any other day, I probably would have had this much higher, but it's just the state of this album that this song had to be number 10.
Yeah. I'm not going to give you a hard time tonight, mate. I'm not going to give you a hard time because I know, mate. I understand. This is a killer, mate.
Yeah. This is a hard one, but I didn't think I was going to do this. But Rated R is number 10, and it starts off with such a bang. I'm like, man, Ralph, Ralph, the crooner, the quiet guy, but he's rapping hard and everything. And I don't know if you guys listen to it. There's a part where you hear a whip going through it. So it's just a crazy, amazing track. But as I said, there were 9 other songs I felt that I preferred better than that. So at number 10 is Rated R. So Max put.
I'm sure you said on an earlier podcast that Rated R is one of your favorite tracks.
No, but as I mentioned,
Ralph Tresvant,
because I've been listening to this album for the past 2 weeks, past week and a half, and just going over it, and then I could say this: I didn't have sensitivity in my top 10 3 days ago, and I've just had to keep listening, and I had to make some changes. So that's how things have changed. Yeah. So, but Rated R, good. It was written by Ralph, and he co-produced it with Jimmy and Terry. Yeah. Oh, a lot of people put Love Takes Time. What's Jimmy Lee? God. Okay. Go ahead, Stevie. What's your number 10?
Well, I've got a genuine excuse as to why this is at number 10, because I remember I bought the LP vinyl first, because back then, obviously, it was at a certain age. I could only afford so many CDs because they were very $16.99, $15.99 price, but an LP on import was £10. So, and the little trick MCA did as well, a lot of you remember, was they left certain tracks off and they put them on the CD. So you're getting a couple of bonus tracks on a CD that were not on the album. So for years, I'd been listening to the vinyl album, playing it to death, not realizing there's 2 other tracks that I've never even heard on the CD. And I didn't get the CD till about, I think I seen it in a sale for in a box of R&B CDs for $5. And I thought, what are these 2 tracks here? So you got to understand that throughout the 90s, what's at my number 10? I didn't hear it. But, I've been listening to it subsequently throughout all these. This is an absolute killer. And he did say in an interview that this particular track was going to be the lead-off single. And I'll quote his words. He said, it's got like a Surface kind of production to it. And I listened to it again, and it sounds like David Pitt Conley from Surface has produced it. I'm stunned he hasn't, because it does sound like a Surface track. And it's actually Vassell Benford who's produced it. But I Love You, Just For You was a bonus track on the CD only that I'd never heard. And it's at number 10. And it's an absolute killer track. And I'm sorry it's at number 10. That's why it's there, just because I never heard it growing up. So
okay,
there you go. There's my excuse.
Wow, goodness. I mean, Yes, everyone is just joining in, guys. Welcome. As you come in, that's I actually did like that track, but as they said, I can't knock you as the same way you can't knock me, because some of these is really hard. I thought this was really hard.
Well, I've got a genuine excuse here. I never heard the record,
Okay.
Namdi. I didn't have the CD.
Yeah, okay. So that
What's your excuse? You're telling me 6 months ago in a podcast that Rated R is your number one Ralph Tresvant track.
No, I don't think I put
it. Let's rewind the podcast.
I can't remember.
And now it's at number 10.
Anyway, number 9 for me is the song I believe should have been the lead single. It should have been. It was probably, even though I didn't think based on my ratings, it wasn't my favorite on the album, but I felt it had the potential to be a big sort of crossover pop track if he had taken advantage of his feature on this album. And this is Stone Cold Gentleman. Surprisingly, it was Daryl Simmons and L.A. Reid that did the writing, and Simmons and KO did the production. But I thought this single, if Bobby had been given more of the rap, could have been the lead-off single, and it would just be like, okay, wow, Bobby and Ralph, especially if you ever see the Arsenio Hall Stone Cold Gentleman performance, and you see when Ralph and Bobby are dancing, you can see Ralph trying to keep up with Bobby, but he was doing his thing. So I think Stone Cold Gentleman should have been the lead single featuring Bobby. They should have just put featuring Bobby, but that's number 9 for me.
Wow, I think number 9, Namdi.
It's number 9.
I'm surprised.
Hopeful says, since I'm not a woman, I'm not allowed to change my mind. Yeah, but as I said, it was. But I would say that if I'd listened to this album a year ago, maybe it would be very different. I think on rotation just right now, and maybe after some other things, after listening to other things, that's changed my mind and stuff like that. Yeah. Plus,
Mate,
Marco,
production on that record is absolutely banging. I think they made that track the same time they made Pebbles, giving you
you can see the similarities in there. Yeah, I mean, I heard it
very strong mood.
I could hear LA and Babyface type of stuff before seeing the credits. Well, although Babyface wasn't in there, but they just had so much going on at that night. Yeah. So that was number 9 for me. What's number 9 for you?
Number 9, gosh, I love this track as well. Timmy Gatlin was right. He was right on your interviews when he said, like, when he made ballads, how he understood how to make a ballad with a bit of a groove in, with a bit of an oomph. And Timmy Gatlin teamed up, he says on credits here, with Alton Wookie Stewart. Yeah. I'd love to get his story, Alton's story, but last night at number 9 for me, a really good, strong. I love this track. And any other podcast, probably this is a number 1 on any other kind of. If this on a compilation album, this would be the best track on it. It'd be the best track on most R&B vocalists. Great track. All right. Well, yeah. Last night, number 9.
And think about it though, because they were Timmy.
Last night.
Yeah, Timmy was. He was doing this. He worked with Ralph and BBD at the same time. So, he left Guy in 88, and then in 89, he started working with Christopher Williams and BBD and Ralph, and he started working with them first. And what did he say? Yeah, he started working with Ralph before before Jimmy and Terry came on board. But yes, definitely a nice song. In fact, that's it's my number 8. Both Timmy and Alton Wookie Stewart. Now, Alton is I mean, I've been trying to get Alton on the show for 5 years, and he says no, he's fine. He's a quiet guy who does, he takes a few pictures. You don't really see him. He likes to be in the background and stuff like that. So I've given him his, appreciate him for for that. But for those who don't know, Alton was part of the Wooten Brothers? So he was a singer as well as a writer and a producer, does a lot of the backgrounds as well. And so number 8 for me was Last Night. Really beautiful song. It wasn't Tell Me When Will I See You Smile Again. I think he gave BBD got the best of that, of the Timmy Gatlin Penn songs. But that was a beautiful song, Last Night, for number 8 for me. Timmy Lee had it number 8.
It's a shame that, I think what we've got to do is at some point we've got to go back to Alton and appeal to his better nature and just say, look, we need your story, mate. Life is too short. There's going to be generations after this that'll discover New Jack Swing, and wouldn't it be great just to have your story here on the channel for reference, so you can check out your back catalogue and hear how it went down. That's how it appeal. I did find somebody who's related to Zan, and I know I keep banging on about Zan. And I've wrote a message to them. Please, can you try and get in touch with him so we can get his story?
Okay.
Number 8. Number 8, and again, I'm still on a run of ballads here, and this is another. Oh gosh, it gets me here, guys. Gets me here. And it's a number 7, and it's one.
Number eight.
Number 8. Sorry. I'm excited. This one's produced by Daryl Simmons and KO, written by Daryl Simmons, KO, and Babyface. Oh dear, this is Love Hurts. Is at number 8 for me, and this really, really gets you there, doesn't it? It does. You can really feel him on this track. It feels like, even though he didn't write the track, it feels like a personal song. I can really believe what he's saying in it. Did you listen to it properly? Yeah. Oh dear.
Yes, I did.
Down. Oh dear. The masters, you got Daryl Simmons. They're just masters, aren't they? Masters.
Yeah. I didn't, because Daryl had done so much that when I had Daryl on the show, I couldn't talk about the music. I think so, guys. I couldn't even talk to him about his music and all the stuff he did, because it's just so much. They did so much, Daryl and all these guys. But yes, definitely a good track. So that was your
and I break you down.
Okay.
Why is it number 8? Why is this at number 8? It's not
fair. Oh goodness, I can't believe this is number 7. But I really, as I said, so what you guys need to understand is that when we have these CDs, I personally would have listened to it in the week leading up to at least 10 times. I'll just listen to the song, the album, then repeat it, listen to it. I'll take a break, then the next day listen. And I don't look at the credits because, as I said, I don't want to be influenced by the writers and producers. And so it is probably how I am now, is that how I'm rating this stuff. But for me, number 7 is, oh goodness, I almost made a mistake and looked at the numbers. I Love You, Just For You.
Wow, now I'm so happy you put that there now, because it's a great track, man.
Never Wanna Let You Go, Ain't No Miss. I was like, this was, oh goodness. Apart from the little guitar solo there, I wish they could have done different, but I just, man, Ralph just took us to the, just had the range in that particular track. And I didn't think about, because I think Ray was mentioned that would this be a New Edition's song? And I can imagine New Edition singing in the background of this, but I felt that actually Ralph was believable when he sang it by himself. So yes, I Love You, Just For You. Vassell, was he part of, what else did he do? Was he part, did he do Don't Walk Away with Jade?
He did that. He did a group called LaRue. Well, they were a duo, weren't they, LaRue, especially on their second album. LaRue's second album is a really great swing beat album if you've not got that.
I need to track down Vassell. and you know,
do.
but especially
to
that
get his story as well.
Yeah, to get his story. Yeah. So yeah, that's.
Do you know? I mean, if you like the sound, the production sound of that particular track, you got to check out Surface. There's a Surface track called Lovers and Friends, which there's some great mid-tempo Surface tracks that just have that gliding late 80s soul feel that are just magical, mate. You'd love them. You would love them. Yeah, Surface. Anyway, what number are we on?
I've just done my number 7. Yes.
Number 7. Well, this is where the tempo goes up for me, because I really what I was happy about on this album was there was some banging swing beat tracks on it, and I've gone for one of them, and I played this a lot. I really did play this a lot at the time. Produced by Kyle West, lyrics by Tabitha Brace, Casey Haley, and Pam Russo. Tabitha was obviously part of the Girls, but Love Takes Time. You know, killer. I hope one day we do a Kyle West top 10. Probably one of these tracks will be in that top 10.
Time.
Oh, killer track, killer Kyle West production. And it is a little secret, because I like revealing secrets. Tabitha Brace of the Girls did record some demos, and there's a very hard to get demo cassette out there of her stuff.
So this wasn't part of Key West. It wasn't part of Key West. It was different.
Yeah, it was her own solo. It might have gone. Some of it might have gone on to be Key West, but she was working on some solo stuff anyway.
Yeah. Kyle did say that Key West project was one of the ones he was just so busy, had so much going on, and it was a regret that it just didn't make it. Yeah. Marco calls the Seller New Jack copier. Okay. Yeah.
Listen, after Teddy and Guy, you could say all them groups and all them they all did New Jack Swing for the next 3 or 4 years. You could say they're all emulators, as you would say.
So
they emulate.
So your number sound. 7 was Love Takes Time.
Love Takes Time.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I didn't think I was going to put this at number 6. I didn't think it was going to make my top 10. But there was something about the story in which he was going through, and there was something about the time he was taking that really got me sort of, I won't say hypnotized, but drew me into the story, drew me into the narrative. And I was like, man, this is really good. And it felt like a different song. And it was a Sensitivity Ralph's rap. I just, I was surprised. At first I said, oh man, I didn't even like Sensitivity. It shouldn't be there. But I was listening to it. I'm listening to the story. I'm listening to what he's saying. And then I liked his extended. And then he goes back into the story. And I just liked, and I think the fact that the music, you could hear the music. I think, was it Marvin Gaye's Secret? What song was that? Doing What's Going On. It felt like it was sampling What's Going On. It makes sense because it was actually What's Going On. But I think when I'm listening to the music and enjoying the music, and then listening
Inner City Blues, he samples Inner City Blues.
Okay, I thought it was
Inner City Blues.
Okay. Yeah, so that's my number 6. I was like, man, I don't want to like this, but I had to move it around and put it up. Yes. So that's my number 6. I don't think he did enough on hits on it. Funny, BBD beat him and Johnny Gill. Yeah, that's what we were saying at the top of the show, is that that both BBD, who came out a good 4 months or 5 months earlier, and even BBD came out with Poison in March. Johnny Gill came out in April. So Motown saw BBD blown up and pushed the Johnny Gill album. And then Ralph's album just didn't get finished until November. So he missed out on a lot. And as I said,
You think that's because he worked with so many different producers that it took time to all get together? He's going around from one studio,
yeah,
one production team to another.
he had a lot of producers compared to Johnny, who had mainly Jimmy and LA and Babyface, but they were recording at the same time. So just imagine, just imagine how busy they must have been, and who are they giving their best stuff to? Yeah, so definitely a challenge for Ralph, but he should have come out first. I will say it again, he should have come out first, and it would have been a big difference. He would have had I think his career would have gone a lot different. But that's me. What about you, Steve? What's number 6 for you?
We're on number 6. I think it doesn't credit in the sample, but I'm sure it samples BT Express. If VJ was here, he'd have all the samples written down, but I'm sure there's a big BT Express funk loop sample running through this track, produced by Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis. It's another up-tempo. It's She's My Love Thing.
She's my love
thing. It kind of rolls along nicely. Just misses out my top 5. Wasn't a single, but I played that track a lot. I still enjoy it to this day. I think number 6 is a good position for it to be in my top 10. So I'm happy with it being there. And that's above Love Takes Time, which is more New Jack. So yeah.
Okay. All right. So here's my top 5. So guys, please, start putting your top 5 out, because it'd be interesting just to see what you guys.
Dale's got Sensitivity at number 6. Why, sir? What's going on?
This I love. I think one of the things I loved about this album was some of the backing vocals on some of these songs. And think about it, that Ralph came from New Edition, where they had a style of backing vocals on their songs, but it was completely different. The backing vocals on this were not New Edition, so I won't hear some of these tracks and think New Edition. And for me, number 5, I just love this. And these guys did some work on BBD as well. It is Public Figure, Just an Ordinary Guy.
Wow.
Epic and Wolf doing the production, with Ralph doing the production here. And I love the backing vocals on this. I just love the whole thing, him talking about, yeah, man, look, being a celeb, it's not easy getting out there. But no, definitely loved this track. Loved the production, the backing vocals. Just an ordinary guy. And then it had the little, it had the whole little, the different layers of this as well. So yeah, Just an Ordinary Guy for me was number 5.
I would have put that as a bonus track on the CD and put one of the others on the vinyl, if I'm honest. That was, looking back, I didn't like that track too much. I don't know, it didn't work for me on that track. I appreciate it a bit more now. It seemed to work a bit, but back then I was like, I can take or leave that track, I'll be honest, Namdi. It's about the only one, though. It's about the only one on the album that I could take or leave. So it's at number, and it's as high as number 5. Wow.
Number 5. But think about it, guys. Marco calls them New Jack imposters.
New Jack imposters. Wow,
no, but
man. Marco's hardcore with his comments on this. He's really like hardcore, and he doesn't like much. But fair play to you, fella. Fair play to you.
But I'm saying about the reason, because this is different now. If I had listened to this album a year ago, 2 years ago, ratings would have been much different, completely different. But this is based on how I've just spent this past week. And so if you listen to an album, as I said, 10 times in a week, the taste changes and everything. And this was definitely, that's why I love this particular track at number 5. Just an ordinary guy. Yeah. So, Yeah. So okay, what makes your top 5?
Well, listeners, if you've got any of your kids up now, put them to bed. So, just turn the volume down about what I'm about to say, because on this track, he must have had balls as big as a donkey or a gorilla to even attempt to do this track. He must have had huge cojones to do this track. But I'll tell you what, it worked for me. It was the opening track on the once you get past the little, was there an interlude? I can't remember, but it was the opening track on the album, and he decides to rap. I couldn't believe it. Rated R has made my top 5. I thought it was an absolutely banging track. I enjoyed the rap. He ain't Big Daddy Kane. He ain't Rakim. And I've seen these live now. But for an opening track to just to bamboozle everybody, to shock everybody, get people's attention, he's rated R. I don't know where rated R came from. He wasn't rated A. He wasn't rated B or C. He's rated R. He's number 5. My top 5.
Remember the whip?
Yeah. On the cover, got like a brother.
Yeah. So Joseph was even asking about the cover, the album cover. Did you think it gave him? Yeah. Do you think he was just a little too smooth and suave compared to how
I thought it was a very classy album cover? That very classy album cover. I like the font as well of the writing. I've got no issues with the album cover. I thought it was classy, and it stood the test of time. It's not like Jodeci with the pants halfway down their legs, is it? Blackstreet. It's not like Blackstreet, is it? With the pants halfway down the legs. I'd rather have that.
And they sold more albums. Okay. All right. So number 4 for me. Looking at number 4, I actually, in a way, was battling whether this was going to be much higher. And
4 is high. 4 is high.
I thought it was going to be higher. But this is, I didn't, somebody mentioned about some of the tracks they heard, and it sounded like I'll Be Sure. So for those who do not know, so Kyle West, who produced I'll Be Sure's first album, and he did stuff with Tevin Campbell. He did a lot of stuff. Is I'll Be Sure's first cousin. So I'll Be Sure's mum and Kyle West's dad are brothers and sisters. And Carl was in college, and I'll Be Sure got his record deal, so Carl quit college to come and do the production. Having him on this, so Carl says, "Look, I'm a music guy, so I'll Be Sure does all the lyrics, and Carl does the music." But Al did not work with Carl on this album, so he instead brought on board Casey from Jodeci, as well as we've mentioned Tabitha and Pam. And they wrote this little record and also did the backing vocals, and it's Love Takes Time. And it is definitely, you can hear the Uptown feel to this. And I'm like, man, they got Ralph on this New Jack Swing, Uptown New York style type of vibe. And I thought actually it did feel, I don't know, it just felt like there were two different, I don't know. I think there were just too many different producers, too many different sounds. And this was a really great sound. Mm-hmm. And I wish I had more of it. And I don't know if Ralph was like, should I do New Jack? Should I do this sort of hip hop R&B stuff? Do I do ballads? And I think the album was just pulled in different directions, because this was definitely on the New Jack side. But Kyle West producing Love Takes Time. Hit the bass line. Love takes time. Realize love takes time. Yeah, dude. Yeah. Funny. I thought Kanye West was the same person as Kyle West. If you do search Kyle West, they do bring up Kanye, but no. You wouldn't believe it, but I've had Kyle on the show twice. one of the most loveliest people, so quiet, so humble, down to earth. And I didn't realize how much stuff he had done. I remember asking Stevie, tell me some more stuff while I was interviewing him. But Carl said he'll come back when he's ready to put out some new music. But break it down.
He's actually going to make some new music, do you think?
Yeah, he's in the process of making new music. So then he says once he brings it out in a couple of months or so, then he'll come back to talk about it. But break it down, Carl West. My favorite Carl West track with I'll Be Sure is Right Here.
It's a great track.
Great right track. Here. Yeah. Okay. Stevie, so what's number 4 for you?
Oh dear, number 4. Jam and Lewis, they always do something on the product. They always do something that sounds timeless, that sounds classic. Again, this is such a gut-wrenching track. Why is it number 4? You know, I mean, Ralph is he's one of those guys that knows how to let a girl down, doesn't he? Does it very well. He did it with New Edition, and he's done it on a single here. Do what I gotta do and break her heart to the last to know. I won't sing because you know what I mean. But oh dearie me, this is again. I can't listen to this a lot. I've got to be in a certain mood.
Okay. To
listen to this. It does, you know, you feel like a tear coming down your cheek, don't you, whenever you listen to it? You're bubbling up, you're like, oh, do what I gotta do. And a tear just started. So I can't, it's not, I can play a lot, but when I do, oh my gosh. Geez, it really gets you. But what a brilliant track. Great single, the extended mix he did like a Barry White, didn't he? Barry White voice on it on the 12-inch extended mix, the Barry White vocal vibe on it. But listen, I apologize if anyone's got a number one. This is a number one record.
It is a number. You had a number 4 during the show.
Yeah, because like you say, I really need to be in the mood to otherwise, mate, I'm shedding a tear.
Yeah, it is a tough one. But we're now down to our top 3. And I'm sure people will be surprised with my number 3. Now, I was surprised because actually at the beginning of the week, this was not in it wasn't in my top 10. But I had to keep listening to it and I had to really appreciate it. And it was his debut single, Sensitivity, at number 3 for me. And I think Sensitivity was who Ralph was. He was Mr. Sensitivity. It embodied him. And I can imagine Jimmy and Terry, especially Terry Lewis, the lyricist, thinking about Ralph and thinking about who he was and writing a track that just works for him. There's a part in that he does some Michael Jackson, like not Shamour, but he does do a Michael Jackson interpretation. So it was his most Michael Jackson type of song. He brings some of those vocal styles to it, lyrically perfect. It's actually timeless because I keep listening to it and it does still sound timeless. And yes. But I would say, and I'll keep saying that I thought that it was such a great track, but I didn't think to lead off an album 5 months after the other guys had come out. It just did, and it got to number 1 on the R&B charts and number 4 on Billboard 100. I thought he should have had something like a little bit more oomph. I think Stone Cold should have been his debut single with Bobby Brown, and then Sensitivity to follow up. It's just like when Bobby did Don't Be Cruel, then he came out, then he had Prerogative, which was the big thing that blew up. And then everyone says, okay, yeah. But that's my number 3. Ralph's timeless classic, Sensitivity.
Well, at least it's in your top 3. I didn't think he was going to make it that far.
It wasn't even going to make the top 10. It wasn't going to.
Wow.
I think I just switched. Let me look at my original list here. Not just my original list. Let me just look at the list that I put together this 2 days ago, and I don't think. Yes, it was number 10. 2 days ago, but I kept listening to it, and yeah. Okay, Ralph couldn't sit and wait to take his opportunity, but unfortunately, his album came out last at the end of the month, at the end of the year, while the others had already come out and dominated the charts. Yeah. Okay. So, Stevie, what's number 3 for you?
Number 3 for me is the single that you feel that should have launched the album. I think this is amazing. Stone Cold Gentleman. I love the video back then. I like the cameo appearance from Mr. Bobby Brown. I like
I think
that
it should have been more.
On it. Probably because I like the Pebbles track as well. But this really does feel like a natural Ralph Tresvant track to me, the Stone Cold Gentleman. The song suits him, the vibe of the track. I think, it doesn't actually say. I think it's who actually produced it. Let's look at the credits. It says Daryl Simmons for KO produced it. Daryl Simmons, L.A. Reid wrote it, and Lasher. So whoever that was. But like I said, I felt it really fitted him, and it sounds incredible now. This track really has stood the test of time. But number 3 for me, Stone Cold Gentleman.
So, what do you think of this by Ken? That Ralph comes out with his own identity. If he had done a duet with Bobby, so that's Stone Cold Gentleman.
Interesting. He's got a point.
My suggestion was that Ralph,
because it's almost like he's relying on the hype of Bobby at the time to launch his own career, and maybe he shouldn't have done that.
Yeah,
because like you say, Bobby was on a crest of a wave, 1991. He's riding the crest of a wave.
Yeah, it didn't go.
It didn't work. It didn't. Let's just say it didn't work for Glenn Medeiros, because Glenn Medeiros recorded that album. The first single was "She Ain't Worth It." Bit of a flop. It did chart, but looking back, it was a bit of a flop, that record, and it had Bobby on it. So maybe they couldn't take the risk. Maybe they thought, we'll do it as a second single or a third single. I think it's great. It's a great record. It's a great record.
This is one of your fellow collectors. I made them all rich. I bought all of their CDs 50 times. Goodness. Yeah. Yeah, as I said, it was a balance, and I did think about that. But my biggest concern was that I just felt that, So here was an example. So when I spoke to Ronnie Jerkins, and I said, I thought, as much as Rock Can Be My World was a nice track, I didn't feel as if it should be the lead single for Invincible. I felt Unbreakable had the oomph that it needed. And he said that actually that was the original plan, but the budget for, I think they wanted Mel Gibson to direct it, and I think the budget went too much. But it's just, so that was my thing about sometimes not the best track breaks out and it sets it up for the rest. But anyway, but that's here and there. Okay, so number 2 for me. Oh goodness, it was a hard one for me. I thought this was going to be number 1. I love this track, and you know what, the thing about this track is that I didn't, when I first heard it. So if you listen to the album, and by the time this track comes on, you're like, oh, what's going on here? If you just had in the background, you take note when this track comes on, and you start to think, okay, what's going on? Who is it? Have I heard it before? And it also has familiar backing track vocals of people that we saw a year later, and that is Girl, I Can't Control It. It is such a New Jack, uptown funky track. I listened to it. I think, man, I've heard this before, and this could have done well on an Albie Shaw album, or on a Guy album. It could have, if Albie had his on his on his second album. This would have done even better for Albie's show if he had it on his second album. But it's Kyle West production as well, with KC doing the writing, and even Ralph's doing some writing on this as well. So he got some publishing on this. But I just thought that I felt like, wow, goodness, that this probably doesn't make. It didn't seem like it fit on the album. I think Ralph was just not sure which direction he wanted, and I think he should have just done some Jimmy and Terry, and he just had too many producers on this album, and probably that could have hurt the whole direction. I think that probably hurt the whole direction, because this should have been this. If he wasn't going to bring Stone Cold Gentleman, Gill, I Can't Control It should have been the first video out there, him dancing. And just coming out there as a New Jack, but then you would expect the whole album to be a New Jack. But love this track, love Kyle West, Gill, I Can't Control It, number 2.
You know what would make an interesting podcast? A top 10 of it'd be Teddy Riley versus Kyle West, and it could only be New Jack Swing, pure New Jack Swing production tracks. Not like rap or anything like that. Pure like, because I'm telling you now that Kyle West swing production is as good as, it's debatable. Is it better than Teddy's? It's up there for me. It's really up there. I'll do it on the New Jack Swing podcast with VJ and Andrew on. If we did a top 10, Teddy versus Kyle West, swing tracks only, let's look at the swing tracks we both put in that top 10. Because that track you just mentioned there, Namdi, the way that start with that lately bass, the dum, da 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 dum 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 dum. Oh, it's an absolute killer.
Yeah, I can't control
it's an
it.
Oh my
dum,
god!
Dum, and then he has some like
that's as good as anything Teddy did at the time. Anything that Teddy did.
Well, I would say
and he's got the classical edge that he puts in his production as well. Yeah. It's just you're floating as you listen to his production. But everything you said there is, everything I would have said, because it's at my number 2 as well.
Okay.
Yeah, I got it number 2. I mean, I'll shout my DJ friend Leaky Fresh from back then, who used to play it on his 9 for the Night, his New Jack Swing 10. And when I heard him play it on his radio show back in 1990, I was rushing to the record shop to buy this album. He was a big fan of this track as well. He watches the podcast, but it's a killer New Jack track. And like you say, let's put Kyle West up against Teddy, swing, pure swing jams, and see who comes out on top. That's all I'm going to say.
I mean, I love Cal, but I think even he would tell you, Stanley Brown would tell you.
He can say, listen, he can be humble. But I ain't going to be humble on that pod. Let's put track by track. Let's put track by track. Teddy versus Kyle West. Let's see what happens.
Okay, for another debate. But anyway, I think if he wasn't going to do this, could have been. I would have put this as my lead single, but then the album, there wasn't enough of this album of these songs for this album to be a lead single, and they didn't trust it. But anyway, so I'm going to go down.
Someone says Teddy Riley versus Kyle West, no contest. All right, let's dig out. Let's dig out. You could dig out the Teddy Riley remix of Jane Child, which is an amazing mix. But I'll put that up against Kyle West's Cheyenne, I've Waited Too Long. That nearly 8-minute mix he started off his career with in about 88. Let's see, because that's a killer track. Killer swing jam.
Yeah, but as I said, it is it's impossible. I mean, I don't think any of them would go they would say, look, don't this is suicide if you want to put us against Teddy. But we'll save that for VJ and
that stuff he did with Albie Shaw. Them swing tracks,
Yeah.
Killers, mate. Absolute killers.
Yeah. Okay. So I'm going to go from 13 down to 1. So it will be surprising for a lot of you guys. So my number 13 was Baby Love Hurts. Somehow the song reminds me of something from the 80s. Slow. Wow. So I wasn't a big fan of there were some elements that reminded me of early New Edition, and there was 80s New Edition. So I didn't enjoy it as much. So that's number 13 for me. Number 12 was All Right Now. I think it was a Michael Jackson track. And it felt like I was never a big fan of those type of candlelights, and it's all right, baby, now, and it's all right now.
I got a feeling. I got a feeling. I know someone who might have put that at number one, Namdi, today on the chart, but they didn't turn up. They haven't turned up, so
yeah,
so it's got Michael Jackson on it.
You got Michael Jackson. Number 12, yeah, that was all right. Number 11 was She's My Love Thing. Yeah, My Girl. And I just thought it was a good track, but it was number 11. Number 10 was Rated R. Number 9 was Stone Cold Gentleman. Number 8 was Last Night. Number 7 was I Love You Just For You. Number 6 was Sensitivity, Ralph's Rap. Number 5 is Public Figure, Just an Ordinary Guy. Number 4 was Love Takes Time. Love takes time. Realize. 3 was Sensitivity. Number 2 is Girl, I Can't Control It. But number 1 for me is, goodness. I think there are songs that tell a story. There's songs that make you feel as if, okay, it doesn't seem to make sense why he's saying these things. When we listen to She's Not My Kind of Girl, and you're like, what are we trying to do? You're trying to say, look, you're a beautiful girl, but you're not for me. And do what I gotta do and break her heart. I mean, listen to this and listen to Gin and Juice. Just listen to how guys in majority doing R&B were treating women, singing about them, and do what I gotta do to break her heart. I just love the track. It's just one of those things where this is Jam and Lewis at their best. And it could have been a New Edition song, but I'm glad it's Ralph's song. I don't know if he sings it as much as he does Sensitivity, but I think it's just my best song on the album. Do What I Gotta Do at number 1 for me.
It's a great, it's not even, what I was saying before, it makes you shed a tear. It's not even the way he sings or the lyrics. It's the chord change. There's a chord change.
Yeah.
It just makes me, it just sends me off, Namdi. That's just a simple chord melody change that you're like, oh my gosh. How do they do it? But yeah, I mean, that is a worthy number. I can't argue with that. It's a worthy number 1,
Yeah, only Dyer put Girl I Can't Control at number 1. That Carl West.
Fair play.
That for a New Jack fan, that was definitely a beautiful.
We had it number 2. You know what I mean?
Yeah, we had a number 2. Yeah,
it's just before New Jack. I'd have that at number 1 as well.
Yeah, it's just for me that Do What I Gotta Do is, it's just the lyrics. I mean, sometimes you listen to the lyrics and how it's being delivered, and then you're like, yeah, I understand what you're talking about, Ralph. Yeah, you do what you gotta do. Sharon saying shout out to Ralph for having one of the most humble personalities in the music industry. Oh, okay. I didn't realize he was a drummer as well. Yes. Okay, Stevie, from 13 down to number 2.
I had Public Figure, Ordinary Guy at number 13.
Wow.
Yeah, surprisingly. I just didn't think it was a great song.
I
think that, like you say, it had that Wolf and Epic vibe to it, but I didn't think it's probably it was average. It was an average song for me. But productions, I think Wolf and Epic did better productions. They did something for Sheena Easton, which was amazing. Swing It, which was an amazing. And they did stuff for obviously Bell Biv DeVoe. Number 12, Sensitivity, Ralph's Rap made the old number 12.
Okay.
Number 11 was one of those tracks that didn't make the vinyl album, and that's All Right Now. It was one of the bonus tracks. Again, I never heard it at the time, And I do agree what he's saying. The verses are very candlelight handle in your hair. I think the chorus is a killer though, and if it's a very unsung track. I'll shout. There's another YouTube channel which is barely doesn't get much views, but it's brilliant. There's some brilliant content on it. Vinyl album covers did an unsung episode on that particular track, and I'm like, what? I don't remember that Ralph track. And he went through it, and I'm like, damn, it's on the CD. And he goes, this is, and he breaks the track down and plays it. And I thought, well, you've got me onto it now. The chorus is a killer. So that's at number 11. I'm sure that would have made Miss J's number 1. Because they buried Michael Jackson's name in the. They just snuck him in there. They didn't make any big deal out. Written by Ralph and written by John Barnes and Michael Jackson. Not Michael Jackson and John Barnes. John Barnes and Michael. Oh, I didn't realise. Number 10, I Love You Just For You. Number 9, Last Night. Number 8, Love Hurts. Number 7, Love Takes Time. That could have been higher. Number 6, She's My Love Thing. Number 5, Rated R. I actually thought that was going to be your number 1 tonight, Namdi. Rated R.
What? Rated R?
Yeah, I thought you'd have put that as a wild card at number 1, but it's at number 5. Number 4, Do What I Gotta Do. Number 3, Stone Cold Gentleman. Number 2, Girl I Can't Control It. And my number 1, now there's something about this track that we haven't mentioned, something very important. During this time in the UK, we had a group called Soul to Soul that were massive at the time. We had a whole, we had a certain sound in underground black music. They called it street soul. And it kind of had that soul to soul rhythm with a lot of bass on it. And I think, I'm almost sure that Jam and Lewis heard what was going on in the UK at the time that year and the year previously. And they scratched their heads and they thought, you know what? We're going to give the UK something that sounds like that. We're going to do it our way. And the result of that was Ralph Tresvant's Sensitivity is my number 1. I think it's a classic. It is a classic. I've got so many good memories of it. It does have that soul-to-soul groove to it. It's got a soul-to-soul, street soul, bass-heavy groove, you know.
Yeah.
I love the lyrics. You know, I just love the lyrics. I love the whole vibe of the track. It's easily my number 1 on the album. Classic of that year.
You know? Yeah. I mean, I did have that as your number 1. I said,
what you need. And to all you ladies out there, what you need is a man like me, a man with sensitivity. What a line that is. What a line that is.
So I had it as your number 1. What did you have as my number 1?
I had Rated R.
Oh,
I just said it. I had Rated R. I thought you'd have chosen because you've said it on a previous podcast. That's your number 1 Ralph track. So why wouldn't I put it at number 1 if you've already told me what it is, Namdi?
No, good. It's okay. Yeah, I mean, sensitivity definitely. It's his signature song and everything. I think we had Soul to Soul. We also had Loose Ends, who had the vibe and stuff. But guys, yeah, this was definitely a real fun show. Pity Miss J wasn't here because it would have been interesting to get her vibe and stuff. But it was definitely a good show to talk about this album, talk about Ralph. I think he's, as much as we all appreciate Ralph for his stuff with New Edition, I don't know if his solo career albums did as well as they could have been. Some of the songs he did for soundtracks, like we talked about Yo Baby Yo for House Party 2, or Money Can't Buy You Love from the Mo Money soundtrack. He did some good soundtrack stuff. And then, is it Call Me the Mac from his second album?
Yeah.
Who's the Mac?
Who's the Mac? That was a really good track.
Yeah, but unfortunately, I mean,
we'll definitely do the second album at some point. I mean, it was a very hit and miss album. I do like that album though. I know it's not as good as this album, but there's some good tracks on it.
I will be honest.
Some more darker vibe to that album, I think.
I will be honest. I was in America when the album came out, and I can't remember it. I can't remember the album. I remember Hoodie Mac, and I remember how that album just only had one track to save it, which was Something in Your Eyes. So we've got two different albums to look and review coming up. So Stevie and I will be back next week. A different album. I'm sure it will. We'll keep you guys posted. Is it next Saturday, Steve, or is it a boxing match? I think.
Yeah, I think it's the undisputed world heavyweight title in the UK. I don't think we've ever seen that in the UK. Yeah. Undisputed heavyweight in the UK on UK soil. I can't miss that, Namdi.
I know. So next week, Sunday. How would you? So out of 10, what would you give this? So everyone. Out of 10, what would you give this Ralph album? Out of 10?
For me, easily a 9 out of 10. 9 out of 10, easily for me.
Yeah.
Too many good tracks on it.
Yeah, I would give it. I probably would give it an 8.5, an 8. And the only reason I say that is that it had a lot of great tracks on it, but my biggest issue was that it didn't have the right direction as to, okay, let's stay with these producers and go this way. Great tracks that were great singles, but as a whole body, just I didn't know what he was. And Matt gave it a 6. Timmy Lee gave it a 9. So I'll give it about an 8.
6. What? 6? 6? You're spoiled. You're so spoiled, Mr. M-Mac. You're spoiled, man.
DJ All Day gave it a 10 and 7. Rocky gave it a 10. It was a beautiful album. It's very. I mean, I think maybe 1 or 2 skips for me, but beautiful, definitely album. My biggest thing, as I keep saying, is that when you listen to the Kyle West tracks, it doesn't sound like too much of the other tracks. Now I can see the Timmy Gatlin stuff and the LA and Baby and the Jimmy and Terry stuff. But I just felt that it was just going to here and there. But I like what Baseline did. So back in 1990, would have given it a 10, but in 2025, a 6. So
wow.
Yeah, so Grey Strokes gave it a 7. And I think it's different when Dio gave it an 8. And I think it's when you're listening to it now compared to when it came out. I loved it. I think now I'm listening to it as a critic, as opposed to as a fan, and especially doing this show. So, guys, maybe Mac is right, and I think that's what I kept saying. Johnny set that bar too high.
Yeah, that Johnny album's amazing. That Johnny album's incredible.
And I think it should have been right. But anyway, guys, so we'll see you guys next week. A beautiful album. I sound like somebody, the president. An amazing album next week. So thanks for tuning in. Thanks for watching. Please keep supporting our listening. Keep remembering and celebrating these guys while they're still alive and stuff. And we'll definitely see you guys next week. Hey guys, thanks for watching. Thanks for being a part of Halftime Chat. Please remember to subscribe, share, and comment. But most importantly, why don't you become a member of Halftime Chat? We've got amazing videos, amazing perks, and being able to support the channel. But anyway, thanks for watching. Take care.
I never participated in that category.
Hey, then somewhere in between us, or even loving us, on which I didn't miss you with.
What was it like growing up?
Still making an impact on 4 houses down.
I have a couple of pieces.
Trying to get this one and that one.
That works for you, but just for me,
No, okay.
They understand what those boys winning all spirits.
Play it.